Reintroduction after the error.
False start.
All right, well, we're going to do a podcast. This is my brother Joe. I'm Tom, Allday. That's Declan in the computer. Declan does landscaping in Noosa. Joe does lawyering.
I do.
He keeps the baddies safe from repercussions.
It's not entirely true, but let's not pass judgment. Let's keep this moving.
And I am a genius rapper, but who has sadly looked upon like not a genius. That's a fucking shit intro.
Yeah, well, that's the narcissistic way of looking at yourself. You're a genius and
Unrecognized.
I'm an underappreciated genius artist.
Yep. Should I walk it back? Speaking of like just schizophrenia, unless you want to say something else about what we're going to do it on the podcast. I don't know. We're just going to try a podcast. That's how I view it.
Yeah, I think that's why not?
Yeah. I think the broad strokes, we're going to talk about things that interest us, and because we're all working in very different areas, we'll be covering all sorts of topics. And that's kind of...
I'm not going to do any topics related to being a landscaper.
You say that, but you do talk. Yeah, I've already spoken about it today.
You don't realise...
It wasn't recording, so... And I'm never going to speak about it again.
Deck, I haven't told you this, but the surprise segment is Guess the Pavers later in the show.
Guess the pavers?
What the fuck?
Guess the
stone.
Guess the
Guess the type
stone.
of stone?
Yeah.
He reveals himself to be like a corporate guy all the time, doesn't he? He's not one of the common men like you and I, Deck. How we get our hands dirty.
You should both be ashamed of yourself when you guys go home to visit mum and you stay there for weeks at a time, and then I come over for 3 days and mum goes, "Oh, thank God, like I've got all these jobs for you to do."
Well, we just got to know.
You know, what about
role
the
in
other two
family.
brothers?
You just got to know your role.
You don't know what I do. She had me cutting the hedge for hours.
I was there, and it was for about half an
That's
hour until you got
bullshit.
blister.
I got a blister.
It was a
Well,
year
blister
ago
on your
as well.
hand.
I don't know. I don't remember the blister. I blacked out, I think, from the pain.
The shit that I do, last time I was in Adelaide, I painted the laundry. I dug out this old bamboo garden that, if you know about, many people know about how hard it is to dig out bamboo. But anyway, I did about a week's worth of hard labour. I painted the shed roof of the gazebo. I painted the laundry. I sealed the tiles in the shower. You know, and you go and you get the hedge trimmers out and you get a blister in half an hour a year ago, and you're still talking about it like you do so much work.
It wasn't half an hour. It was hours. It was agonizing. Anyway, I'm an indoor cat, man.
Yeah, you are. I realised that when I had to call the RACV for you to change a tyre.
Who knows how to fucking change the tire these days? Come on.
Dude, you can just YouTube it.
You have to be to be real. Like we didn't like not to we didn't grow like you guys hung around Dad a lot more than I did, but like it's not like we had he wasn't present to be like, hey, this is how you do this thing or that thing.
Dad taught me how to change.
Yeah, he taught me as well. You just weren't hanging out to do it.
Yeah.
God. Anyway, I'm glad we covered a few landscaping topics early.
Yeah, get it out of the way.
I have a bit of a crazy story from this week.
Yeah, please.
So I sent you guys that thing, that New York Times thing, Peter Thiel, Ross Douthat or whatever. I don't know how to say his name. But you guys didn't reply, which was very rude.
Sorry about that. I did look at some Peter Thiel content this week. So explain who...
I don't know who you're talking about or what article you're talking about. So
that's a good state to be in, honestly. Peter Thiel is like the guy who owns Palantir, which is I think they signed a contract with the US government to create use AI or whatever to create a profile on every single person in the USA. Like it's just like super dark surveillance state tech company.
And for context, right, he's like a billionaire Silicon Valley like investor.
like PayPal guy with Elon Musk.
Yeah.
First guy in Silicon Valley to like be to fund right-wing politicians. So like he was on Trump's side in 2016. JD Vance is his guy. Like he basically put JD Vance.
Yeah, he's like supported him throughout his whole career, right?
And basically put him there as the vice. So he's like a very powerful guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm watching this thing. It's all right. He's kind of freaky, this guy. Like he's super Christian, but he's into like he's got this idea of the Antichrist. It's this long interview, and the guy from it's honestly way above my head. The guy from New York Times is like so smart as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I sent it to you like 6 days ago. I finished watching it like yesterday because it's quite long, and
6 days long.
Well, I got on our Cricket 24 on PlayStation. I had a long day in the studio, and I was just like winding down at the Cricket 24 going and New York Times thing. I was like, this is bliss. And then so he keeps quoting Bible verses. Peter Thiel quotes. He goes, yeah, John 25:15 or whatever. And I'm like, so that's weird. I'm reading John at the moment.
You should also maybe give some context around that.
I'm just reading through the Bible at the moment.
Yeah, and why are you reading through the Bible? Is it because you're a born-again Christian, or is it because...
I'm not a born-again Christian, I was born Christian. Like, I'm not, I like it, but I'm not super crazy about it or anything. I just like it.
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time you went to church?
I don't know, 15 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You're reading it
You need to give the proper context around this, because it's just like
it's important.
reading the Bible.
What? You guys are you're so city, like, you can't read the Bible. Like, it's crazy.
No, you can. I think it's an interesting thing to do from a historical perspective to understand theology.
Yeah. So anyway, he quotes John 15:25, right? And I go, damn, I'm reading John at the moment. And I was like, I'll just look at what I read today. And I had actually read that very verse.
Wow.
On that.
Wow.
Yeah, just
and what does it say?
Just nothing. Like, but it made me feel like schizophrenic. I was like, this is how you get schizophrenic. It just said, this is to fulfill what is written in their law. They hated me without reason. That's what Peter Thiel quoted.
Right.
I was like, that's very like how you get, but yeah, that's where it starts. Then you start pinning things up on your wall and like freaking out.
Yeah. And on top of you reading the same verse, you have been getting a little bit of in my opinion, unwarranted hate from the K-pop community this week as well.
Yeah,
so this
unwarranted.
is
you kind of provoked.
Yeah, well, you've been getting warranted hate from the K-pop community.
They hated me with reason.
Do you want to explain that situation?
So the K-pop thing that's going on is there's a new K-pop thing that a band that started. It's hard to call them a band when they're like just a corporate entity, really. And they're called.
I heard that one of the members is the heiress of the Samsung family.
Samsung family.
Yeah,
like one of the richest families on earth.
Yeah. So anyway, they call themselves Allday Project. I don't think that's different enough to Allday because it's basically, project doesn't the word project doesn't differentiate it enough. So I'm like,
that's what I thought when I heard it. It was like Allday Project isn't a differentiating word. It's like saying all day musician. All music created by artists is their project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All day.
So your music is your all day project.
Yeah, it is on my. This is my. I'm the All Day Project.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, my manager said, "What are we gonna do? We're gonna like send them a legal letter or whatever." And I think we've done that.
He said, "Yeah, Samsung heiress, let's lawyer up and go into battle."
Yeah, and I wrote a post being like, the first post was like, prepare for the greatest legal battle of all time, just kind of being like silly, and then like hundreds.
It was tongue in cheek though. It was like you were obviously saying like
I'm gonna
prepare for the greatest legal battle of all time to the K-pop group that hasn't even have they put out music yet?
Yeah, and it's like as their fans have told me, they've already ended my career because they've already done like double, triple, bazillion numbers that I've ever done. So yeah, they've already put out a song called "Famous," where the main lyric is, We Ain't Even Famous, but their fans are commenting that on my stuff. You ain't even famous.
Well, you had a song years ago called Nearly Famous, right?
Nearly Famous, yeah, true.
Good song, actually.
Yeah, it is a good
That's
song.
alright, that one, yeah.
Quite emotional. I revisited it recently for the first time in many, many, many years, and it's like, fuck, it's almost a tearjerker.
There's something about being like 19, 20 that you just have so many nostalgia. You know, you think everything's so deep, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I'm vomiting in the toilet. Whatever. Like, it's like
No, it is a good song though. Revisit it.
So where's this ongoing battle with Korea's pop fans at now?
it's kind of cooled down. I haven't inflamed them for a couple of days, but because I said a thing about you must have lead poisoning to enjoy K-pop, which I think is largely true. Like it's not the best music.
I guess it is subjective, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like it's just weird. It's like, and it's also like they all live in a house.
It's not my cup of tea, but that is, that's stoking the fire a little bit.
They put them in a house together or whatever, and they take all their royalties, the companies. They get like a little salary of like 40 grand a year or whatever. They work like 23-hour days. I don't know. Is what I.
It's not. They're not real musicians creating like independent music. It's a corporate structure where they're just like whacking together beautiful young people and writing songs for them and making them the face of it. It's not real music.
No.
But I think it's just like a. I mean, the music industry in general is a bit like that. The pop music, so it's just a bit like the American music industry on steroids, really.
Yeah. It is. Well, does that connect with any of your little news topics this week? Because it connects with mine.
Well, then let's go into it, I think.
Yeah. All right. So the one I want to talk about is I saw this week is the AI music stuff on Spotify. So like, you know how there's those tools where you can make songs just like typing it into make a R&B style or whatever, and they just write the whole thing for you. So there's people obviously doing that, and now music is being uploaded to Spotify like 1 million times faster, 1 million times much more music, blah blah blah. This band called the Velvet. Let me have a look at what I wrote it down. Velvet Sundown. So they've been in the news this week because they have 930,000 monthly listeners at the moment.
Wow.
Jesus.
So this is just a fully fabricated AI band.
Yeah, so the pictures of them are AI. The songs are AI. They've released 3 albums in like 2 weeks. Full albums. One of the songs has like almost 1 million streams. And the crazy part is like the one that has the most streams is actually not that bad. Like you can imagine like sort of if you were half listening, you'd be like, okay.
It's pretty scary though for the music industry. That's a pretty bleak outlook. If people can't differentiate between real music that an individual's had to like put some creative effort and process into, like, that is a bleak outlook for the future of the music industry, is it not?
Maybe that speaks more to the quality of like pop music. If you can't differentiate between AI pop music and current pop music, like you can can they write like an AI Bohemian Rhapsody, you know?
That's interesting.
Yeah, maybe give it a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the recycle. Well, that's another conversation. Like, how easy it is to get to a level of like making something that sounds decent now has changed a lot. I don't know if you guys know what Splice is.
Please share.
Splice is like this app where every musician has it, and there's like, it's like a sample library, drums, like loop, melodies, everything to make a song is in there, but it's all like open source, kind of like that. You don't have to pay royalties. So like even Sabrina Carpenter on her song Espresso, or one of those big songs, heaps of the song is made up of splice loops that anyone could use.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, everyone uses it. Like, it's amazing. Like, there's good stuff in there. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so to the base level, because of that kind of thing, like anyone can kind of like make music that sounds decent now. Like, it used to be, to even sound decent, you had to be like, we had to work for a long time to even sound decent.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So who owns this AI? Like, is it a Spotify owned AI group? I wonder. Like,
Spotify are trying to minimize their payments to artists by getting AI, pushing AI
just
groups.
monopolizing the whole
Well, that's happened before.
app.
I think that's happened before with like all the like, study like beats to study to and stuff.
Oh yeah.
There was stories. I don't know if it's true. There was stories that was almost
Lo-fi beats and stuff. I used to listen to that when I was at uni.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to listen to a podcast if I'm reading or something, just called Piano in the Background.
Oh, yeah.
On Spotify, and there's like about 100 songs in the playlist, and it slowly kind of rotates. And every now and then I'll hear one, and I'm like, "Damn, this is actually beautiful." And I'll go click on it, and it's like, yeah, it's not a real person, it's not a real composer. It's just like an AI composer.
Damn.
Yeah,
it's a bad feeling.
Well, if that playlist has 1 million monthly listeners, people are just chucking it on while they're doing housework or reading a book or whatever, and all of them are legit artists, and they're paying for every single stream.
Just money down the toilet.
Well, yeah. So you're on Spotify's side.
I'll just say what they're doing. Nah, I think you gotta, like, they could pay us a lot more, for sure. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Well, what is it per stream? It's like 0.006 cents or something.
It's some fraction that's not. It's like pi. Zero.
Yeah. What? And do you get paid like monthly or quarterly or something?
I actually don't know. I'm not super onto it, but like, I
remember back when we were living together, you used to get physical checks in the mail.
Oh shit! Yeah. I think America sends those, but yeah. I get them paid out maybe like quarterly, and it's like
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if you get $1 million, it's like, I always remember it's like 4,000 and something for like $1 million.
$4,000 for 1 million streams.
Yeah, which seems like a lot, but it's not easy to get for most people to get 1 million streams.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you got 1 billion streams, quick maths. 40,000 or 400,000.
400.
400,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Wild.
Wait.
Not many
4
people.
million. 4 million.
4 million?
Because 1,000 million is 1 billion. So 1,000 times 4,000. Because this is like
1,000 times 4,000.
Look this up.
We should be able to.
When was the last?
It should be simple, man. You should know how to do this.
1,000 times 4,000.
Yeah.
I think
400,000.
No,
that would be
4 million.
It's 4 million.
Oh man, the only maths I can do is like, if it's related to pavers.
Oh, there we go. How long did that take?
Back to landscaping.
All right, I'm never mentioning landscaping again.
I like the landscaping chat.
No, I love it. Yeah.
It is 4 million.
4 million. I mean, so that's the thing. If you start going up towards a billion, they will fucking come buy it off you and give you an advance. No one gets like, people don't get to 1 billion. Like the labels wine them and dine them and like and give you a big advance and you buy into it.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Coldplay and big bands like that, they have like 20 songs at 1 billion.
Yeah, but like, how many Coldplays are there?
Not enough.
Not enough.
No, they're good.
Coldplay have a few brilliant
Bangers,
songs.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
more than a few, in fact.
Yeah. I even like some of they have a few like late era cuts. Magic. That one? That's a nice one.
It is good.
All right.
None are coming to mind, to be honest. I can't. I mean, I'm remembering
Yellow.
Yellow was obviously Dad's fucking jam. Loved that.
I didn't know that.
I'm not a big Coldplay stan, but we shouldn't fucking alienate the entire world by not loving
I
Coldplay.
am. I think I'd go to a Coldplay concert, in fact.
I'd probably go to a Coldplay concert. It would probably be good.
Yeah, he runs around.
Have you seen those?
He's a fit guy.
Those clips of what's his name, Chris Martin?
Yeah. He just runs.
gyrating around in his leather pants with a semi.
What?
No.
With a semi?
Maybe we can insert clip here. Yeah, tight leather pants, semi out on stage, running. Semi is Jake jiggling around. It's pretty fucked up, really, because he's
Whoa.
not really a very sexy guy.
Well,
Yeah, he's got a certain appeal.
You think Chris Martin has a sex appeal?
I think, like...
he's not unattractive, I don't think.
What the fuck? Okay, all right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Chris Martin is hot, but
Nah,
to me, I saw this video. He's like looking like he's looking like he's 50 or something. Like he's looking pretty old and washes, and he's like got a little muffin top, and he's wearing really tight leather pants, and you can see his dick.
Are we talking
And
about
it's
the
like-
same person?
No, there's just been on the recent tour. There's been a couple pics where he's like wearing the sort of the baby tee still, and he's like a little bit. It's just not quite fitting him the way it used to. But
Right.
like,
Maybe the
but
video I saw was
generally,
AI or something, but he was not looking good, and you could see his penis, and it was quite revolting. I saw it and went, Jesus, that's fucked. Imagine being that close. You wouldn't want to be.
I mean, I think a lot of people would.
I
Love to be near
disagree.
his
I think
revolting
no.
penis.
I disagree strongly. I think certain like rock stars have like sex appeal. Harry. If you could see Harry Styles junk in it at one of his performances, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's a sex symbol. Like,
Yeah.
let's see the outline.
Lenny Kravitz, you see his penis all the time.
All right, we don't need to go down the penis chat again. Anyway, we've done a practice podcast once before, and we ended up talking about.
It's
Penises.
always you who brings it up, by the way.
Did I bring that up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Fucking hell. I really don't mean to.
But the long and the short of it is that I think Chris Martin is actually quite attractive and talented.
Yup.
I think he's very talented. I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But I think the jury's out on whether
He's not a Harry Styles hunk. I think that's fair to say, but
Yeah. But not many are.
not many are.
True.
I've got a story that I wanted to talk about this week, which was Trump going along to the NATO summit, which was held in the Netherlands, and the Secretary General of NATO calling him daddy. I don't know if you saw this in the news.
That's crazy.
You haven't seen this?
No,
Yeah,
I
so
missed that.
it was pretty wild. It happened in the
I didn't
last
see it.
fortnight, I think. Trump went over there to the Netherlands to meet with NATO, which is like the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is like the big defense alliance with all of Europe and stuff. And he was trying to negotiate all the European countries to spend more money on defense. And just before that, he'd ordered the bombs to be dropped on the Iranian nuclear facilities. And the Secretary General of NATO was praising him, like in front of the media. And Trump was saying how Israel and Iran are like kids in the schoolyard fighting. That was kind of like the analogy he drew. And then the Secretary General said, and then sometimes you need daddy to come in and use strong language. And everyone did a bit of a double take. And I think he kind of meant it as like...
Still in the analogy.
You need...
Still talking about the playground.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you need a
father figure or a parent figure
to come in and break up the fight, I think is what he
Yeah.
meant. But obviously the world's media was like, what is this
Damn.
NATO Secretary General doing?
So where is the NATO Secretary General from? What's his...
I think he might be Dutch. It was held...
Okay, so English is a second language.
English as a second language, has an accent.
And the current... I think the word daddy, in the current... in culture at the moment is...
has a different meaning.
Yeah.
To what some old Dutch fellow might think, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe he meant it that way, though.
But what I thought was really interesting as well, that during that whole NATO summit, it showed how kind of global leaders of, countries, nation states of NATO are all kind of like bending the knee and being quite strategic in the way they communicate with Trump. Like I just noticed following Trump dropping those bombs on the Iranian nuclear facilities, Pete Hegseth, who's like his defense secretary, did a speech and was kind of using the same types of phrases and like cadence and mirroring the way Trump would speak, saying things like this is the only defense force in the world who could have done this. We totally obliterated them. And it was like the cadence of the way he was saying it. I was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of how Trump speaks.
Yeah, I mean, people like the way he speaks. It's not a bad thing to copy if you're trying to be popular.
Yeah, and then I noticed the same thing in Netanyahu's speech about the same topic, like after the bombs were dropped in Iran. He did the same thing and was like praising Trump by saying, you know, you took decisive action. You're the only country in the world who could have done this because they had the types of bombs that were, you know, the bunker busting bombs. No one else could have done this. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. Like, leaders are changing the way they're speaking about the president of the...
Maybe it's like a psychological strategy.
This is exactly what my theory is. Like, it's like they're mirroring his language and like stroking his ego because
talking to him in a way he can understand
fully
and appreciate.
Fully. And
it's total narcissistic hyperbole and just going, yes, it is. We are the greatest. And it's almost trying, it's kind of like, it's kind of like manifesting, you know, you speak it into existence. You just say what you want to be true.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's worked for Trump. Like, he just like
100%
says all this fucking shit, and people just go, yes,
and
it's the
like
truth.
the NATO Secretary General also had sent Trump a text message, like heaping him with praise about his decision to drop the bombs on Iran, and was saying, you know, your decisive action has, you know, changed the, you know, trajectory of history, and then Trump publicized that text message, like his media team, I guess, like leaked it because he liked that his ego was being stroked.
Yeah.
That's so narcissistic.
No, I think he put it
it's
on,
pretty funny.
I think he put it on Truth Social, like screenshot, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, there you go. And then like another example that I thought of was when Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, did his trip to Washington, and they do those bizarre like White House like press sit downs in the Oval Office. He brought with him the invitation from the King, kind of like took it out of his suit jacket and handed it to him in front of all of the media, said, I've got an invitation for you from the King. And it's all like, let's just make him feel very special, like no one else is getting this treatment. And it's like this diplomatic strategy that countries all around the world now are kind of using. Which I think is really interesting, and also just he would like that, and I think is just like so concerning when the kind of leader of the free world, who's making all these decisions about foreign policy and like military decisions and security, is kind of dependent on whether he's got these personal relationships with different leaders.
Other leaders have to placate his narcissism and like. Yeah, it is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's like...
I mean, posting a screenshot from a text from the leader of NATO on your Truth Social account saying, look at this praise, like he agrees with me bombing Iran.
It's so simple. It's like just narcissism.
The world is much more simple than it appears. That's one thing I've learned, I reckon.
Yeah.
You know, I think people... Have you heard people say you can just do things? Like, I feel like Trump being president is the biggest example of you can just do things.
Yeah,
you know?
true.
He's just like, oh yeah, I will run. I'll probably run, and then you know, he was like, and then he won, and then you know, like you said, he just manifested it.
And then he had like multiple court cases and criminal charges, and he's like, I'm just going to run again. I'm just going to be president again.
Yeah,
and it's all going to work out. Yeah.
Well, Kamala Harris, she was basically acting like she was on pills, so like she wouldn't be much better, honestly. And Joe, have you seen Joe Biden this week? And his face is pinned back. He's all snatched.
Really?
I haven't seen that. Good for him.
Snatched Joe Biden.
I hope he gets some of his cognition back now that he's out of the job and he's a bit more relaxed, you know, because...
I don't know if that's how... in my experience, that's not how dementia works.
Yeah.
No.
But maybe it's like amplified. Maybe it wasn't, you know, just dementia.
It's a stressful job. We'll give him that.
A really high stressful job, not sleeping and the age,
Yeah.
and declining mental state. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I just
he
felt
was
by
like,
the
he
end of it,
needed
I
a
felt
good night's
bad for
sleep,
him.
didn't he?
I would see him and I would feel like I would feel a bit sick. I'd be like, oh man, this guy is an
I know.
old man. Like he needs help. He needs
His
someone
team
to-
were like really hiding him from the media. Like he wasn't holding press conferences. There was a period of like nearly 6 months at one point where he wasn't taking questions from the media. Like they knew what was going on. But
I think Grandma right now is in about the same state as Joe Biden was when he was president. I honestly think Grandma's a better communicator.
post-stroke,
Yeah.
our 93-year-old post-stroke grandmother who lives with our mum, who just sits in an armchair knitting. Yeah, she's actually in good spirits though.
yeah. Well, I've got another story that's kind of related to Trump, but also Australian politics. Penny Wong's been over in the US this week meeting with Marco Rubio, who's like the equivalent, the foreign minister.
Little
over there.
Marco, like Trump used to call him.
Really? Little Marco. And but like while there's been this Australian delegation over there, the big pharma has kind of renewed its efforts and is putting pressure on Trump to make Australia pay more.
Great again.
Pardon?
To make Australia great again. Sorry, keep going.
To make Australia pay more for its medicines. The pharmaceutical companies hate the PBS, which is Australia's pharmaceutical benefit scheme, which is how Australians have such affordable medicines, particularly compared to America. And the way it works in Australia, it was introduced in like the 40s, I think. It was a Labor government policy. And it really is a national treasure. It's an unbelievably good policy. And it works so that the government is the only purchaser of medicines from these pharmaceutical companies. So there's one central buyer who is negotiating the price with the pharmaceutical companies, which means that they have the leverage to get a better price, and then those medicines are then subsidised by the Australian government and sold on to us, to all Australians, at a capped price. And that capped price has gone from $31.50 or $60, and the recent election in Australia, they've dropped that down to $25. So like most medicines you can buy for, at the moment, $31 or $25.
Yeah.
And because the Australian government's the only party in Australia buying from the American big pharma companies, they hate it. So they're putting pressure on Trump to, when in negotiations with Australia, try to change our system so that they can, leverage more money out of Australians, I suppose.
Surely there's no fucking chance in hell that they change it.
During the election campaign, Labor came out, Allday came out and said, just not on the cards, there's no way. But it's just interesting that this is being shared in the media. There's a real effort and a campain from
Trump?
From the pharmaceutical
companies, yeah.
companies. But it's kind of...
It's, why would they want this in the media? Because what are the optics for them? There's no positives for the pharmaceutical company. It's just, we want to profit more from Australians.
It's applying...
There's no way of...
Yeah.
You have to
There's no way of
understand in
framing
America,
it.
though, that they don't have the same quite the same attitude to price gouging. It's like a pro-business government. So some people might view Trump winning any sort of profit from other countries as a win for America, even though they're currently experiencing victimization at the hands of the pharmaceutical companies themselves.
Mm. Yeah. So I guess the strategy behind it is to apply pressure to the American government to use this as part of the negotiations which are going on with other areas of policy. So, the American government's... this is what's concerning, I think, to me, because
we'll give you a better deal on something over here.
Exactly.
If we change this deal for our farmers. It's crazy because it's private companies that would be benefiting from our... medicines going up.
But we've got
it wouldn't be the US government.
Yeah, definitely. We've got this AUKUS review going on with the defence agreement. So that's
submarine deals.
Submarine deal, which is being reviewed at the moment. This 30-day review. So that they could, whatever comes out of that review, there could be some negotiating around a revised deal or changes to that deal. There's the trade tariffs, like we've got the minimum 10% trade tariff, and Australia want to negotiate that down. So in the context of these other negotiations with the US, Big Pharma are kind of getting their message out there and trying to put pressure on the Trump administration to say, hey, we don't like this pharmaceutical benefit scheme.
Do you know if he's into it? Like, do you know if he's going to do it?
I haven't seen anything from Trump on it. I've just seen media around the fact that
they could just be that Trump is the type of guy who they might just say, hey, look, you get this deal, a better deal with us, for us from the Australians, then we will just give you money later in life.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but I just cannot see any world in which a Labor government would kind of like resile from this position that like the PBS as it is. Like I don't think there's going to be any significant changes to it. But it's just
I certainly hope not.
It's just interesting that this is what's going
Medicare.
on. Yeah, agreed.
I'm
Do you
already
have private health, Tom?
No,
Have you?
I'm philosophically against private health. I also missed the cutoff. To be fair.
But you can still get it.
Still get it. You have to just pay slightly higher premium, I think.
Yeah, but like like we were raised on public, and what I hate is the intention is for them to slowly make it more and more unbearable, more and more untenable to keep public health and get everyone on private health. So they have to spend less money on public health. And you can see it because year after year, it's creeping up the amount of people with private health. Is at 54% or something now. And it really pisses me off because it's like fundamentally the healthcare should be a right and it should be reason. People now go on private health because they're like, oh, you can't get stuff. It's not reasonable. Like you're not going to be able to have proper care. And that shouldn't be the reason you're on private health. It should be to get like acupuncture or whatever.
Yeah,
anyway,
I agree.
so
I agree. There's parts of it though, like I know people who have like torn their ACL, but because you can live pain free with the torn ACL for years, if need be, if you're not playing sport, your knee won't be structurally sound, but you can exist and walk around day to day without pain. The waiting list to get a knee reco in the public system is like 2 years long, unless you have chronic pain. So, if like you, Tom, for playing so much fucking social sport, social basketball, like if you did a knee or a something, I mean, if you do something worse than a knee that you can't walk around, you ruptured your Achilles or something, you get the surgery straight away. But for knees, you can be on the waiting list for 2 years, which means you can't really safely play any more sport until you get that.
That's why I got hospital cover for that exact reason, because I know a few guys actually who did their ACL and had to wait over 12 months.
Yeah. And we have private health at the moment because Jess got it.
Did that ring come through? That was mum. There was a ringing sound in this room. It was mum.
Oh.
Sorry, keep going.
All good. We got private health for Jess for birth. And the experience at the private hospital up here was so good. You guys came and visited.
We did. You were in a hotel suite.
It was like a hotel suite. Yeah, we had stayed for 4 nights. Could have stayed for another night, but we were like, all right, let's get out of here. This is enough's enough.
Yeah.
And some of our friends who have had their first baby in hospital, public hospital up here, one night, and then you're out. You do get a home visit from a midwife in the following week, but I feel like those 4 nights that we spent in that private hospital were so good, and we learnt so much, and we felt like safe and in an environment where we could ask questions. And
you weren't being rushed out the door. But I guess
24-hour support. It was great.
Yeah, I guess Tom's point is we should have a system in which we can receive all of that care. We can get our ACL surgery without having to pay for private health. Like it should all be part of the public system.
But they do it on purpose. They got it on purpose year after year. And they make not enough beds, not enough money. So yeah, that's what I hate about it. But yeah, that's why I'm not doing it. I'll personally disadvantage myself until I do my ACL.
Well, you have to get it before you do your ACL. There's a waiting period. Anyway, we can.
I've heard that you can also tell them that you're in pain every day, and then you get it quicker. Jump the queue.
Yeah, I got my
That's
ways.
the
I got my ways.
hot tip.
I knock all the stuff off the desk. Ah! I've been on public health a long time. I've got strategies. The pain's a 10. The pain's a 10.
The pain's a 10. That's how you get endone.
All right, Deck.
Yeah, well, I have a pretty interesting story that I'm not sure if you guys. It only came out last night, so you guys probably haven't heard about it, and it's a good one. I like this one, and it kind of ties into Tom something that there's a tie-in anyway. I'll get to the end of the story, and then we can tie it in with your experience. But my story I wanted to talk about was they're calling it the Chinese F.I.F.O spiritual scammers.
Whoa, I haven't heard about this.
Wow.
But
That was like the best combo of words.
Yeah, that's a great hook. Please tell me more.
Pretty crazy. So fly in, fly out, elderly Chinese spiritual scammers. So it's not like a crazy complex scam, but basically it's older Chinese people are flying in from China and they're preying on elderly Chinese people in Australia.
Oh, not FIFO workers. Damn.
No, no. So they are F.I.F.O workers in that they're flying in, committing the scam and crime, and then flying out. So they're only in the country for a couple of weeks.
Mm.
And I think they're working in kind of small groups, and they're just approaching people on the street. I think most of the reported cases have happened in Sydney, and they're approaching older Chinese people in the street, and they're telling them that they have evil spirits trying to attach themselves to them, and they need to be cleansed. And it's kind of like they're taking advantage of their cultural fears.
Wow.
And they're saying that they need to be blessed and that their wealth needs to be blessed, right? So
show us your bank account.
Well, no, it's actually more straightforward and more. This is the part of the story that I was like, wow, this is fucking crazy brazen scam. So they say, all right, you take us to your house and we'll bless your house, and here's this big black bag. Just put all of your valuable items and all of your money that you have on hand and any of your wealth, put it into this bag. We will bless it and we'll give it back to you, and your family will be safe after that, and if you don't do this, then you're in trouble. So they pack up all of their expensive items, put their cash in, their watches, their jewelry, everything, and then they give them the bag, and then they bless it, and then they give the bag back to them, and they say, all right, now don't open the bag, because if you open the bag, it's going to be bad luck on your family. So then they don't open the bag, and then when they do open the bag, all of their fucking possessions have been nicked, and they've just got an empty bag with other stuff in it.
Oh, that's so awful.
Damn.
I know. So not a laughing matter, but they so far the reported amount it's happened across Sydney, and they've arrested 2 people. They've stolen $3 million worth of cash and jewelry and goods, and the police think that obviously the real amount of money that's stolen is, at least double. Possibly.
Well, because
much,
it's
much,
guys
much
who
more.
have that cash in the house, like not taxed income kind of thing.
Yeah. Cash and just valuables, and they're just.
Do you think not reporting?
And I think there's lots and lots of unreported stuff, because obviously it's a pretty shameful, experience being scammed like that, where you're just handing over everything valuable.
Put everything in the
a
bag, and then don't reopen this bag.
That's
Yeah,
so
and they've arrested a couple of
It's
people.
awful.
So
They arrested a couple of people last week, or a couple of days ago at Sydney Airport, like a 67-year-old woman and a 70-year-old man. So
that's a border security. That's going to be amazing on border security.
On the TV show.
On the TV show.
What are these black bags you've got here? It's full of jewels.
Nothing. I don't speak. Don't understand.
So are these scammers posing as like spiritual healers or leaders?
Yeah, they're posing as like, I'm not sure what the word is, but yeah, like as like kind of spiritual healers.
Yeah, okay.
And they will be able to cleanse them of their, and the other part is that they're from a bigger syndicate. They think they are like from organized crime. It's not just like a couple of people coming over saying maybe we'll scam some people.
Yeah.
They think there is a huge network of like hundreds of people all connected to like Chinese mafia, and they're being sent out here, and maybe even the people committing the scams they're not the ones like keeping the profits. They're just like a cog in a bigger.
They're the mules.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's pretty heavy.
I know.
They need to get that word out there in the media.
Grandma's.
Well, that's what they're doing now. They're putting it out there and saying, hey, younger members of the Chinese Australian community, you need to go and educate your grandparents, educate your parents, talk to them about this, and let them know that they're at risk.
Well, on a similar and related note, back in 2020 when it was COVID and I was doing my exam, it was like a take-home exam, and I was doing it at Nana's house because she just had like a study room that I'd sometimes do my exams in, and I overheard her in the middle of doing my exam answer the home phone and start reading out her credit card numbers, and I did jump up from my exam and go and snatch the phone off her and tell the Nigerian prince that he can't have Nana's credit card numbers.
Wow. That's very lucky that you happened to be doing the exam.
I know. I was like, what's going on? I'm kind of hearing it. And then I just heard numbers start being read out, and I had to intervene.
I felt, a bit like, oh, this is such a sad thing. They're preying on these old and vulnerable kind of, But I'm like, that's how all scams work. Scams don't work unless the person is vulnerable to the scam, and often what makes them vulnerable is their age or lack of knowledge or whatever, or in this case their cultural kind of fears and their age. They're more susceptible. So I guess it's not all scams target fucking vulnerable people.
We almost got scammed this week, actually.
Really?
No, not really, but Mem answered the call. We were like at home, and they were going, oh yeah, some problem with your Telstra internet, blah blah blah, and we're both like, damn, what's wrong with the internet? And then we're like, hold on, we don't have Telstra internet. Fuck you. But yeah, I feel like
yeah. I mean, if they're nearly getting people in their 30s, then what chance does Nana have?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of older people probably get scammed, and like you said, that they just take the L silently and like don't tell anyone. I'd be surprised if one of our parents hadn't been scammed at least a little bit.
Yeah, a guy had worked for recently, he told me he got scammed out of 50 grand.
Whoa.
Yeah, he said that it was like a Commonwealth Bank scam. And he said, yeah, they called him up and they basically said, yeah, your accounts are being hacked, blah, blah, blah. And he said it was very convincing, Australian accent. It came from a number came up on his phone screen that was called, Combank when it rang, even though he didn't have the number saved.
Right.
Yeah,
so
look into that. That sounds like it was a Combank guy scamming
him. But yeah, he said it was like they made him feel quite rushed and being like, you need to act now, get on your computer, do this, blah, 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 shift it from here to here. And yeah, 50 grand.
Got to stay vigilant.
Yeah.
Did he get reimbursed? Do you know?
He was.
I feel like there's some fraud protection stuff out there where you can.
Yeah, he hadn't been reimbursed.
Yeah.
When I was at his house, but he was expecting to be. So
yeah, okay.
It shows how fake money is, doesn't it? When the banks can just go, oh yeah, we'll just put those numbers back in your bank. It's just numbers, isn't it? After all, we'll just write it in there. So then now you have it.
Tomatoes. Yeah, I also was thinking about, spiritual scammers. And Tom, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it when you were in LA and you had you got your fortune read by a you can
fortune teller.
Fortune teller, if you want to tell the
So this is
story.
when you were living in LA for a few years.
Yeah. We went to, there was one in Echo Park. Went with Grace, actually. And it was like a $20 palm reading or something. So we were like, yeah, whatever. I went across the road to ATM, get cash out. Came back. She's doing Grace. and it's like one room. Her kids are kind of there. Not kind of, they are there. And I hear her doing Grace, and I know Grace, and there's a couple of things I was like, well, okay, she sounds like she's kind of saying accurate stuff to Grace, you know. So
Yeah.
I was like, damn, kind of had me convinced. Then she said to me, like, you know, you've been having stomach problems, haven't you? At the time, yeah, I had been having stomach problems. Also, I was drinking a cold brew. So you have to be Sherlock Holmes.
You're drinking a litre cup of cold brew. Like,
You got stomach problems? You get diarrhea
your stomach
from
is
that?
gurgling at the moment.
Anyway, and also, yeah, so she was like, oh, yeah, you've got a demon in your stomach.
Oh my God.
I was like, damn, fuck.
That's where you've gone wrong there. That's your response. Oh, man, I do have a demon in my stomach.
You know, so I was like, well, okay, what are we going to do about it? She was like, well, I was also like, you know, intelligent and skeptical, of course. But then I was also like, what are we going to do? And just in case.
We need to get this out
just in
ASAP.
case, you know.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, yeah, you know, you come back, we'll have another session. And, you know, I'll do
And that was when I arrived in LA, in between the first and second session.
Oh, I forgot you were there.
Oh, did you intervene, Tech?
I lightly tried to intervene. I was like, oh, is that so you're going back for the demon extraction, or is that something you sure you need to do? He was like, yeah, look, she just said she's going to take it out, so I should probably just go get it done, I think, just knock it on the head. And I was like, look, if it's going to make him feel better, like, I'm not going to, you know.
That is so funny.
So I go there, I lay down. She puts like rocks on me and stuff.
What, on your stomach?
On my
Crystals down
yeah,
here.
on my-
Bare-chested?
I can't remember. No, I don't think I was bare-chested. I think I had a shadow. But, or maybe she pulled it up. Anyway, there was crystals on my chest and on my head and stuff, and she was doing this and that. And
And I remember...
Were you there,
describing
Dick?
it, and
Or not?
No, but I was there in the afternoon when he got back from the demon.
I think she was
demon
doing a bit of
extraction.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot
Swishing
of that.
her hand over
She was
you.
swishing around, and then she gets another big crystal, and then she kind of pushes it on my stomach, takes it out, and she goes, "All right, cool, you know, it's done." And that ran me like $240 US.
Oh, fuck, Tom.
But that was worth it. That part.
What else did you do?
And then she said, "Okay, cool. So that's that done." I was like, "Great, thank you very much." I was about to walk out the door. She was like, "So now, you know, we have to take it to like a hillside and burn it and get rid of it permanently." And I'm thinking, my first thought is, that sounds pretty cool. Like, that's going to be like an interesting thing. We're going to go midnight at the side of a hill with this Mexican lady, put the crystal on a big fire. I was like, this is going to be sick. But I was like, but how much? She's like, unfortunately, this is a big ceremony, so this is $10K.
What? You didn't do that, did you?
No, I didn't do that. No.
Oh my God.
See, I'm not fucking stupid.
You're not that stupid.
You're not that
you
stupid.
mean.
You still had the demon extracted with crystals.
If you had a demon and you trust me, you'd want to get it out.
If you had, how much money would you have to have sitting in your bank account to say yes to $10,000 demon burning ceremony on the side?
Depends
of
what the demon's up to.
Yeah. You gotta remember.
At that point, all it was doing was giving you an upset tummy.
No, you gotta remember, it was ruining my life. So yeah, at that point, I think she had misjudged how much money I had, you know, because I had this Hollywood or whatever. You probably get Netflix actors in there who have hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Mm.
So I said, no, can't do that. She goes, ooh, like we can make an album for $1,000, I think. She starts negotiating with me.
Wow, immediate 90% drop in the price.
Because she must have seen it. I was like, nah.
Saw your eyes
recoiled.
widen.
I was like, not going to happen. So then and then I was like, but currently it's inside that crystal, right? She's like, yeah. And I was like, that's good enough for me. And I turned around and I walked out.
I mean, if it's a real phenomenon, she's going to have to fucking burn the demon anyway if she wants to get it out of her possession.
Yeah.
It's not like she can... So...
Oh, I did not know about this story. He kept that one from me for a few years.
Oh, there you go.
I think it's a good one to keep under your hat until you start a podcast and then you have to tell
Say I'm the
everyone.
first one. I don't mind having a demon in me. It's fine.
Can we get some clarification? So you believe that you had a demon and you believe that it was extracted, but the part that was a scam was how much you wanted to charge you to kill the demon permanently.
Yeah, was it just the burning of the crystal, which was a scam, or was the whole experience a
Everything
scam?
was real.
There was
but
nothing
she
that was
just
a scam. It was just I didn't like the price point.
Good, that's what I wanted.
I'm glad we've cleared that up.
Oh, man. Well, I always kind of, after you told me that story and I was there to witness it, I had never got my fortune told or anything. You know, you see it at the market or the fair or whatever, or you're walking on, I was in LA on the boardwalk at Santa Monica, you see the little... And I've never done it now because even though I think it would be a funny little, neat little thing to do just for a laugh, now I'm like, well, if I fucking get my fortune told and they're going to tell me that I have a demon, I just don't want to be told that, even though I don't believe it to be possible. So
You'd rather not be.
I've missed out on having my fortune told, even just a fun gag thing to do, because I now have your fears and your trauma.
Yeah, well, a couple of times people have tried to read tarot to me or whatever, and I've been like, just leave it out. I don't need you. I don't need just some random telling me like anything that's going to happen to me. It's none of your business what's going to happen to me. That's kind of my attitude with tarot.
Yeah, okay.
It's just like you don't get to say to me what's going to happen to me. Even in like a symbolic way.
Yeah.
I'll be the judge of that, thank you.
I had some housemates in Thornbury. Remember when I lived with all those girls in Thornbury? I had one particularly hippie girl who was always reading tarot, and I had the same feeling. I was like, I don't actually want you to read my tarot because if you tell me something bad, I'm going to spin out.
Yeah.
And so save it.
Well, it's like that. It's back to the Trump thing where it's like you hear something like it can sort of take hold a little bit. You want to be careful what you hear.
Mm.
Yeah, especially if you're an elderly, vulnerable Chinese person or a young 20-something musician. Either or, the two most vulnerable demographics.
I was in another country. Yeah, I'm lucky you were there. Who knows? If you weren't there, maybe I would have done the 10K.
Had someone grounding you a little bit.
All right.
What? You got to go?
I don't have to go, but I do have plans later on this afternoon. Is it? There's no time difference between Queensland.
No, we're aligned.
Victoria this summer year.
In Victoria and Queensland.
It's lovely. Wait, I'll see if there's anything else I want to say.
Hey?
See if there's anything else I want to say today. Oh, no.
I didn't have
fuck it.
I didn't have a whole lot. I had a very, very busy week. So I didn't have a whole lot of... content that I wanted to speak about because I was just flat out right up until we started recording.
That's good. Get that money.
Get that landscaping cash.
Doing some big jobs. I don't want to continually bring up my landscaping career, but it's fucking pinging up here. It's going well. These people up in Noosa have an outdoor lifestyle.
True, they want to have nice little, whatever you do, pathways.
They want to have nice sanctuary gardens and...
Don't say that he just does pathways. He does all sorts of things.
Fences. There was a beautiful fence you showed me the other day.
Noosa Landscaping in Stone. They do everything.
Noosa Landscaping in Stone.
Yeah.
I'm a one-man show and I will do your whole garden. I'm doing a massive job in Doonan right now. Beautiful. I'll send you guys some photos. I don't really show you any of the work I do, but...
Send them through.
Yeah. No,
I'm really good.
You can figure anything out. And you did my balcony. Randomly figured it out. It was amazing.
Yeah, I did. Joe, the balcony of the house that you're living in, retiled.
I used to live in.
He doesn't live there now. He lives here.
Tom's back there.
Oh yeah, Tom, you're in Joe's apartment now, and you, Tom, are living in your own apartment.
Correct.
Right. Okay. I'm out of the loop a little bit.
Yeah, you haven't imagined it.
Yeah.
You should see our house nowadays. We've got white furniture. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it is all pretty white.
The millennial white.
What?
That's what they say.
Millennial grey.
Millennial grey, sorry.
That's different.
You're a white millennial with millennial grey house. Yeah, but that nice apartments. I'm not. I don't miss being in a small apartment in Melbourne. That's something about the Queensland life that is. I could definitely get used to having space and having the opportunity to be outside in the sun all year round.
That's nice.
It is nice.
Do we have the theatre?
We do have the theatre. And
the theatre in Melbourne.
And more.
I'm just saying what people say about the city. I don't know.
We have more cafes. And
cafes. Oh,
got great cafes up here.
That just stopped. Hold on. Let me just hold on here because I'm gonna look at that camera.
Okay.
It's like I feel like we should put it on or something. Like we should end it while we're like looking at it or something. You know what I mean?
Is it still on?
No space on the memory card. Okay, so that's done.
So that's done. I mean, we can just finish it off with audio only.
Well, we did the right amount of time.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well,
the memory card's full.
Just for the camera.
That's it.
Yeah.
The end of the podcast.
Nice.
Nice. I thought that went quite well.